but the princess had been taken elsewhere and the ship's route had been locked, making it uncontrollable. Regina said that earlier she had heard her younger sister's voice from the Cabal spirit that could only be used by those with noble blood, so if Regina used it, her identity would be revealed. Hearing this, Leo urged Regina to forget everything for the sake of saving her younger sister. Therefore, Regina used her power to try to contact the princess at the other end. The princess was very surprised to know someone was contacting her through the spirit. Although she was being taken away, she wanted Regina to save the ship first because its course was locked and it would crash straight into the rocks to regain control. Regina had to connect with the control located on the lowest floor of the ship. Hearing this, Leo suggested Regina go down to find the control while he would look for the princess to save her. He controlled his blood, approaching the old man with the magic wand, only needing a signal from Alfine to move. Fenris attacked the man fiercely, making him very angry but unsuccessful. Meanwhile, Sakuya had disappeared since when, and he was temporarily eating bread to alleviate his hunger. Seeing Sakuya wearing Eastern samurai clothing, they were very scared and did not dare to approach him. Behind, Fenris agilely dodged the man's attacks and then suddenly knocked him to the ground. The man then immediately asked the old man to detonate his grenade. However, Alfine along with Celia managed to damage his wand. Finally, everyone united to attack the men. Fenris activated her sacred sword, two wolves, to control the knife-wielding man while Celia attacked and knocked down the old man with the grenade. After clearing the way for Fenris, Celia suggested she not take risks like before. Although they managed to control the men, the ship had reached the rocky area, and they had even jumped onto the ship, so everyone prepared to fight. Every attack was aimed at defeating the men, but as they increased in number, the girls were forced to spread out to ordinary people elsewhere. Leo had communicated with Celia through the cat keychain he had just given her, informing her that Regina was heading to the bottom floor of the ship to find the control, so he wanted Celia to run to Regina to help her. Meanwhile, Sanak forced the princess onto a plane to take her away. Regina had been surrounded by a herd of elephants, preventing her from moving, but fortunately, Celia arrived just in time to help her defeat them all. In the battle room, people were still holding their ground against the fish followers, but a stronger elephant named the Brain Eater had entered. It looked very difficult, especially after managing to drive away two of Fenris's wolves. Seeing this, Sakura reminded everyone to leave it to him and handle it himself while asking them to protect the surrounding citizens from this powerful elephant. Sakuya had to use dark power, switching from the holy sword to the devil sword to send it to hell. Regina's firearms couldn't penetrate the fish's skin, so Celia used her holy sword to clear a path for Regina. When they reached the control center, Regina entered the Red Star password and then collaborated with Caban to control the ship out of the underwater reef. Meanwhile, Sanak had brought the princess to the plane to escape the ship. Though almost caught, the princess was very happy because the ship's course had changed, and Leo arrived just in time to stop the plane so Sanak couldn't escape. The Fenris group and Elfine were attacked by the fishmen, but suddenly the fishmen were cut into small pieces by the two girls. It turned out that Leo had been protecting both of them. If they were in danger, Leo would always help. After an exhausting battle, Sakuya finally defeated his enemy and cut him into small pieces. Not much different from the previous fishmen, Leo made Sanak realize that he was the Demon King. When Sanak didn't believe it, he simply raised his hand to stop his magic, and then Leo used shadows to control Sanak and get information. He said that capturing the holy sword was a sacrifice for the goddess, so Leo forced him to reveal the identity of the goddess, but Sanak didn't have time to speak when a sword emerged from his stomach, ending his life. Leo immediately realized that it was Elfine's phantom sword, a weapon that could defeat the Demon King. Somehow that legendary weapon was here and why it turned into an elephant. It looked very frightening, its power still present, so when Leo attacked, he was absorbed by it in an instant, and then it used spatial shift to attack Leo unexpectedly. Seeing the princess in danger, he had to switch to protect her, but the elephant kept shifting, making it difficult for him. In the control room, Regina activated the weapons to help Leo. Although the elephant could withstand it, the fishmen were destroyed in just a few seconds. Regina even fired a cruise missile directly at the elephant, stripping away its body's defense layer. Celia emerged from the next missile and landed near Leo, startling him, and she asked for help to use his special attack. While Celia faced the elephant, Leo prepared to use his special power. Leo had drawn the holy sword. With one strike from Leo, the divine elephant was officially thrown off the ship. After this incident, the princess expressed her gratitude to the Holy Sword Knights. Unfortunately, Leo had asked to return to the dormitory first to recover, and Regina also asked to go home because she had a special reason that she couldn't meet her sister. However, Regina had asked Celia to convey a message to the princess that she hoped she would find much happiness in the future. Leo experienced fatigue symptoms again after using the Holy Sword, and when no one was home, Regina went straight to Leo's room. She made some small apples to help his body recover, and as a thank you for what happened, Regina kissed him on the cheek while asking him to keep it a secret from Celia. After the individual riot, security forces surrounded the conservation area to capture the remnants of the individuals attempting to escape, but they had no chance. They were captured along with the scoundrels supporting the princess. At the right moment, Leo's voice echoed in the conservation area, and he used magic to turn the security officers into stone so the individuals could escape. Those who survived submitted to Leo, so he named them the Wolf Assembly. Leo then created an underground labyrinth to temporarily hide them inside. Suddenly, Leo's phone rang with Celia's irritated voice. He had to leave them immediately to return home, leaving them confused. Celia had turned into a vampire, so she would attract living creatures towards her at night. Feeling slightly disturbed, she asked Leo if there was a way to solve this problem. When Leo opened his bedroom door, he unexpectedly met Sari cleaning the room. Celia thought she was hallucinating, but it turned out there was no one there because of this strange phenomenon. Celia immediately called Leo to come home. After rescuing the individuals, Leo returned to the dormitory. He went straight to Celia's room to see what was happening. He found Celia changing clothes to take a bath. At that moment, Regina also dropped by, so they had to explain the situation to Celia during breakfast. Regina saw many crows gathering in the dormitory and told everyone that the dormitory was said to be haunted. After hearing this, Celia also told everyone that she had just seen the ghost of a serving maid in Leo's room. Leo quickly denied that Celia might have seen something wrong, adding that he had gone for morning practice to prepare himself. The training session, and Leo will try his best to bring victory to the SIIA team. It turns out that today, the SIIA team has a training session with the Fenris team. The mission of each team is to find and destroy the opponent's flag. Initially, the Celia team had the advantage because Elfine could accurately signal the location of the Eris team, allowing the group to easily defend against enemy attacks. Meanwhile, Celia served as the attacker, but she got trapped in Fenris's ambush. It turns out Fenris had prepared 2 ice wolves near the reserve flag to wait for Celia and Leo to appear. Fenris's goal is to settle all personal matters. While Celia faced the struggle, Fenris had devised tactics to deal with Sia's team members. Leo was impressed by Fenris's intelligence. Fenris then turned 2 ice wolves into combat-ready fighters against Celia. Meanwhile, Fenris's comrades would handle Leo. As Celia and Fenris fought, they talked a lot to each other. It turns out Fenris didn't care about victory, he just wanted to bring down Celia. After Fenris knocked Celia into a tree, 2 ice wolves jumped to capture her again. On Leo's side, he used shadow magic to subdue the girl on Fenris's team. Celia managed to defeat the ice wolves afterward, jumping high and destroying both with her sword. Fenris finally admitted defeat. People agreed that if Fenris had focused on the main flag, the result would have been different, but he preferred to duel with Celia, so losing was just right. After the exhausting training, Leo prioritized to bathe with the girls. Although Regina allowed Leo to look freely, he dared not, and the team vowed to become stronger after this. Meanwhile, an individual with the power of the elephant god named Nepa gave many magical swords to Sanak, who was very pleased with Sanak's achievements. Thanks to him, he prepared to revive the goddess, while also removing an island in the middle of the ocean. CIA team had arrived at the command headquarters to receive their assignment. The commander had shown them satellite images of the island that had been lost for years but had now resurfaced. Leo realized it was the homeland of Celia and Regina. Though the mystical powers of the island had died, it was now moving towards Island 7, where they stood. Island 3 also sent 2 unusual emergency signals. Thus, Celia's group was assigned to investigate this island. At the current speed, the island would collide with Island 7 in 1 hour. Team CIA had to find a way to stop the island's movement. Because Celia's team received high praise from their superiors, Celia would strive to meet their expectations. However, because Leo was still young, Celia wanted him to stay home. But when Leo insisted on going, Celia promised to protect him. The next morning, Celia's team set off on their mission. Before leaving, Leo assigned tasks to his subordinates. Black would stay behind to protect the kingdom, while the others would go with him to support him. Bake had displayed the ribbon given by Sakuya, and it seemed he had been completely conquered by this swordswoman. Elfine was responsible for piloting the aircraft and taking the entire group to the designated island. As the journey would be quite long, she reminded everyone to rest for a while. Regina immediately invited Leo to lean on her. If he felt sleepy, he could lay his head on her lap. When Celia tried to intervene, she promptly brought out a teddy bear doll and invited Leo to lean on her. This feeling reminded Leo of memories from the past when he was next to the mischievous goddess. At that time, he had almost had to reincarnate the following year and had told Leo beforehand. Leo promised that no matter what form the goddess turned into, he would try to find her, and he would never break his promise. He asked Celia not to worry because when Leo realized, he saw that Celia had always taken him back whenever it happened. Now, the whole team would approach the island to carry out the mission. From above, they couldn't see anything because of the thick fog, so Elfine decided to land. When they arrived, Celia and Regina recognized the city they had lived in years ago. Then, the whole team split into different groups. Regina, Elfine, and Sakuya would go together, so Leo asked Sari to join as a guard. As they walked along the streets, Sari remembered the places she had visited with her father. Suddenly, Celia's signal detector beeped loudly, indicating an elephant was very close. The elephant fired shots at them, forcing them to dodge, and the next shot caused a lamppost to fall. Falling on top, then a giant elephant appeared in the sky. Returning to the time before Leo and the others arrived on the island, a fairy named Ollie suddenly found himself transported to this island. After observing his surroundings, Ollie realized this was the world after his birth year. Seeing a shop nearby with some modern clothes, Ollie immediately put them on to ward off the cold. According to Ollie, he was sent here to revive the goddess when someone named Nepa appeared and greeted him respectfully, calling him a fairy hero. Upon hearing this, Ollie immediately guessed that he was also from the previous year, perhaps even when Ollie realized the plan that would be carried out. Ollie used the death sword to destroy the goddess's vessel, believing she was obstructing him, so he attacked her. But she soon vanished and controlled a giant elephant to attack Ollie, and now the elephant turned to climb and prepare to slaughter alongside Celia. So Leo used his dark magic to bring Celia down. After she descended to safety, Leo began to fight the monster. He unleashed many skills, but they were all neutralized by angelic protection, from which Leo concluded that the elephant was mimicking angelic powers. At the same time, Elfine also realized that Celia's group was in danger, so she urged everyone to retreat, while Leo was still engaged in a fight with the elephant god. He used high gravity magic to press the elephant to the ground. When the elephant tore through the gravity trap, Leo switched to Hellfire, and finally, Leo released a lightning blast that turned the elephant into dust. After finishing off the monster, Leo returned to his original position. Celia reminded herself that although the vampire queen could recover, her wounds were severe enough to require a long time. She was planning to take Celia away to a hidden place when suddenly she saw many people approaching her. They carried Celia's family emblem, so she immediately recognized them as the spirits of knights who had served Celia's father. They were also the ones who sent the distress signal to headquarters. Celia realized that they were spirits still burdened with great regret, so they couldn't move on. The knights warned that if things continued like this, the tragedy of last year would repeat itself. A godly elephant has appeared in this island's temple of dark power and is gathering strength to resurrect something. Upon hearing this, Celia wanted to leave immediately, but she was still severely injured. Fortunately, the group of knights was ready to assist her. When they saw Leo's car, they thought it was moving too slowly, so they summoned 2 bone horses to pull his car faster. Thanks to those 2 horses, his car became much faster. Regina's group returned to CIA headquarters, but no one was there. At that moment, they saw Ollie standing with his sword drawn. Regina thought he was the survivor, but suddenly Ollie attacked them with his sword. Then Sakuya also drew his sword, ready to fight Ollie. Ollie still believed that these 3 girls were his master's minions, so he angrily attacked Sakuya. After exchanging blows, they seemed equally matched, and as they were about to use their final attacks, Sakuya emerged as the victor. However, Sakuya knew he was lucky to win because Ollie was starting to tire. Meanwhile, Nepa was still waiting in the Temple of Dark Power, waiting for their goddess to rise again. Every time Celia used dark power to heal her body, she felt thirsty for blood, so Celia immediately pressed Leo and began to suck his blood, leaving him almost drained. Just then, Celia heard Elfine's voice through the communication device, so she stopped. The 2 girls exchanged information about their situations. Celia said she was worried about the appearance of another godly elephant, and might now be in the Temple of Dark Power on Elfine's Island, also reporting that they had successfully rescued a stranger. Finally, they agreed to meet at Celia's family palace. Celia planned to stop Leo so she could suck a little more blood because she wasn't satisfied yet, but Leo refused because he was almost out of blood. After that, Leo gave Celia a dress that he called the best equipment from the clan. With this dress, Celia could enhance her power, but the dress would consume a lot of dark energy, so Leo warned Celia to be careful. Leo's attention made Celia very happy, and Leo gave Celia many ropes that were tied and explained as lucky talismans. Regina wrapped Ollie's wounds to help stop the bleeding, while Sakuya gave him new clothes. Then, the girls introduced themselves to each other. When Elfine heard the name Ollie, she immediately took out her phone to search for island residents but found no one named Ollie. Ollie admitted that he was not from that island and that his presence was for an important mission. He pleaded for them to let him go, but Ollie's stomach growled, so Sakuya suggested he eat a little. Sakuya then brought some cakes to invite Ollie. Sari saw Ollie from outside and realized that she was the female hero who had killed many of the Demon King's generals. An elephant returned and told Nepa that its angel had just disappeared, making him very surprised that humans could defeat angels. Back to Celia, she arrived at the family home and saw everything in ruins, making her very sad because of many beautiful memories with her parents there. She saw a chair, tried to sit down, and felt comfortable, just like the old family chair. Meanwhile, Celia went up to the second floor, where the family kitchen used to be, and then to the third floor, where her father's reading room used to be. She saw a book on the table and it reminded her of her father, making her very emotional. Then, the knights united to regain their powers. When Celia was a child, she was often told fairy tales and legends about knights and the Demon King, which made her feel very nostalgic. But just then, Nepa came and made this illusion disappear. Seeing that person, Celia thought he was human, which offended Nepa. He planned to attack Celia with magic, but hearing a loud noise from below, he ran up to save her. After being hit by Nepa's magic, Celia fainted and fell asleep in a dream. Celia remembered when her father was getting ready to go to war against the elephant. He said that Celia's mother and siblings also went with him to the battlefield. Their task was to protect the locals. Her father often told her about the Demon King, whom he believed was real. Although the Demon King was evil, he would appear to defeat the monsters when necessary. Nepa arrived just in time to protect Celia. Nepa thought his magic had destroyed Celia, but he saw 3 skeletal figures in front of him. Turns out they were Leo's minions, who saved Celia from his magic. Nepa couldn't believe seeing humans who could control skeletons, and he wanted to see how they would withstand his attack, but before he could attack, Leo came and drove him away with fire magic. When Celia asked who they were, Leo introduced them as the guards locked inside the lock he gave her. The 3 of them then introduced themselves to Celia and called themselves 3 great knights of the great Demon King, although they always argued about their battle efforts, making Leo embarrassed. Although hit by magic, Nepa was still alive, and when Leo saw him, he didn't know why Nepa was there. Then Nepa switched to using fire to fight Leo, but Leo immediately used snow to fend off his attack. Leo approached Nepa and asked what his goal was, and Nepa dramatically said that he had made many offerings to awaken the goddess Thais. His own body was also the residence of the goddess. Leo wanted to ask who the goddess referred to, but Nepa fled into emptiness. Leo was sure he had seen Nepa last year, not knowing why he was there, and the goddess he mentioned might be goddess Rosalia, who fought against God. At the same time, in the sky, the symbol of the Holy Spirit Church appeared. As people gathered to see it, they found a giant elephant emerging from a magic hole, followed by many other flying elephants in the sky. Leo immediately realized that it was the form of the goddess Thais from before. Perhaps after 1,000 years, she had fallen, thus transforming into such a monster. Regina informed the others that people were talking about the appearance of the elephant god, so everyone should join forces to act together because the god elephant moved very slowly around the island, surrounded by many other animals following to protect Celia. Immediately, she activated the holy sword and destroyed those approaching Regina's group who were trying to gather with Celia but hadn't moved yet. Then monsters attacked them. These elephant allies were not only numerous but also could recover quickly, so although Celia's group fought with all their might, they kept regenerating. Initially, Sakuya also couldn't defeat them in the usual way, but after several battles, everyone knew that their heads were their weak points. It only took attacking their heads so they couldn't come back to life. In the past, Leo remembered that Thais had regeneration power, and even though she turned into an elephant, her power remained the same. Now, Thais was heading towards Leo and Celia while Elfine had found some carts to facilitate movement, so she asked everyone to depart immediately. Although severely injured, Ollie still tried to follow them. Leo's group was still being attacked by monsters from all sides, so they had to clean them up quickly before the elephant god arrived. Leo also used his attack to clear those approaching him, then he gathered a lot of dark power to unleash a destruction attack on the elephant god. With this attack, Leo could make Thais melt and her body turns to dust, but it didn't affect Thais, who soon recovered. Then, Thais even used a giant spell circle and directed it straight towards Leo, and Leo knew this was a very dangerous attack, so he created a shield to protect everyone. Then Thais threw meteor stones to attack Leo and at the same time swept the ground where he stood. Ollie also realized he had just used extensive destruction spells while Elfine tried to unlock the carts to move the group quickly. Thanks to Leo's magical shield, everyone survived. But now, Thais attacked brutally towards Leo, so because everyone stood in front to protect him, Celia immediately transformed into a dragon form and together with the others, quickly destroyed everything approaching them, thus clearing the path for Leo. Stepping forward towards Thais, Leo slowly drew his angelic sword, but when he released the blow, Leo's hand suddenly couldn't move. And from within Thais, a voice of angelic resistance was suddenly heard, making Leo very panicked even though he tried to hold his sword. But his attack was immediately blocked by Thais, who kept throwing thousands of spear attacks towards him. Everything in front of him, Leo fell silent after hearing the voice of the angel. He was now pierced by the spear and lay on the ground, making Celia very worried while Thais gathered dark power to attack. Seeing Leo in danger of his life, Celia immediately activated her vampire power. She transformed into a giant figure and together with the others, quickly struck Thais. Lost his balance and fell to the ground upon seeing the horde of strange creatures attacking, so the 3 brave knights tried their best to protect him. Meanwhile, Celia immediately turned towards them to check on Leo's condition. In his subconscious, Leo remembered his conversation with the rebellious goddess, that if she were to reincarnate the following year, Leo would endeavor to find her, even if it meant journeying to every corner of the world. However, Leo's strength was now depleted, so he asked Celia to leave him behind and flee first. Leo was willing to offer his body so Celia could comfortably draw blood from him, giving her strength. Leo helped people escape from there, but Celia instead let her blood flow into Leo's body, something the goddess had told Leo about before. The goddess said that if she were to turn into something evil, she hoped Leo would use the magic sword to end her life. Leo refused, but the goddess told Leo that if that were to happen, his task would be to find her original body, and the magic sword would give him clues. A few moments later, Leo regained consciousness and realized the goddess's plan. He had to punish the false goddess first. He thanked Celia for her initial aid, which healed his wounds, and thanks to Celia's blood, he could remember some of his last memories. After that, Leo asked Celia to give him a piece of cloth from her dress to mend the clothes he was wearing. When everything was ready, Leo promised to defeat the monster, and before he left, the knights asked Leo to use their souls as power. They knew Leo was highly skilled, so they suggested using the souls of the island's residents too, as they all wanted revenge on the monster. Leo understood that his unintentional power of resurrection had stored their souls, and now he decided to accept the offer to turn their desires into reality. With the magic sword, Leo created a red orb to draw in all the souls of the residents. While the knights from Celia's family got another task, Leo used magic to revive the skeletons of the people, then put them into the knights' souls to give them new bodies. Celia would temporarily take on the role of their leader because Leo needed time to absorb more power with the magic sword. Leo trusted Celia and entrusted his life to her. Hearing this, Celia immediately used her vampire power to arm the knights. Everyone on the team felt motivated, and Celia raised her sword, asking them to follow her orders. Back to Sakuya, he had unlocked their motorcycle. Before they set off, Ollie wanted to join them too, even though he was injured. He managed to defeat the monster with one sword strike, saying that only he was strong enough to defeat the monster. Sakuya agreed to let Ollie join, with the promise that he would protect him on the journey with the knights. Here's the translation. He stood as a barrier against the flood of monsters, and every time they approached, Celia and everyone else mercilessly cut them down. However, Leo was having difficulty collecting their souls longer than anticipated. On the other side, the girls were struggling to defeat the herd of elephants to reach Celia's location as quickly as possible. Meanwhile, Celia continued to give directions to everyone to hold on, unaware that she was being attacked by monsters stealthily. Celia realized that her dress had consumed a lot of magical power, slowing her down compared to years ago. Celia was just a weak little girl back then, but now with additional strength, she was determined to protect Leo. Celia's steadfastness gave courage to the other warriors. Currently, Leo is preparing to complete the accumulation of souls, but Taz has released a magic circle and directed them straight toward him. When Leo saw this, he immediately reminded everyone to regroup. Then, Taz attacked with meteors, but thanks to Leo's circle shield, everyone remained safe. Alphine's group is heading towards Celia's location where she's fighting. Despite buildings collapsing along the way, they managed to cross just in time. At that moment, they encountered a giant elephant, and Regina attempted to attack it with her weapon, but to no avail. Suddenly, a rope appeared out of nowhere and pulled the monster away, slamming it into the surrounding skyscrapers. It turns out, Sari had been following them all along to protect them. The battle on Leo's side is still fierce. The power of the elephant within Tylus has caused him to summon more monsters. At this moment, Leo has completed the accumulation of souls into his black moon ball, and he is surprised to see Taz able to use triple destruction magic. But with his yellow phantom sword, he is undaunted. Taz even lifts a skyscraper to throw it at Leo, so Celia immediately jumps forward with her holy sword. Gathering vampire power, she launches an attack that destroys the building. Now, only Leo with his yellow phantom sword stands facing Taz, but as he prepares to attack, Taz shows high-level protection on his body, while on the other side, they are approaching Taz from behind. Although the path is shaking, Ollie lifts his sword and orders everyone to advance. Seeing this, everyone increases their speed and prepares to fight. First, Sakuya along with Regina attacks Taz's shield, while Ollie uses his cleansing sword to destroy the shield. Although unaware of who attacked, this is an opportunity for Leo to awaken the power of his awakened sword and pierce Taz, causing him to suffer in agony. Seeing this scene, Celia suddenly remembers the story of the destruction of the elephant herd by the Devil King, her father, and shortly after, the Elephant King disappears from the island. The battle ends, and the knights bid farewell to Celia to return to heaven, hoping she remains safe to complete their family mission. Regina arrives at the scene and immediately embraces Celia with joy as the little girl is still alive. Their group also managed to rescue a girl named Ollie, surprising Leo. The command aircraft led by Fenris lands on the island, and they immediately join them. quickly send a medical team to assist Celia's group. As for Leo, he knows that Ollie is the one who destroyed the protective layer of the Holy Virgin, but he doesn't understand why a hero of the fairy nation like him would appear in this era. While everyone is resting, Celia tells Leo a tale from her father's book about a demon king with the highest magic and many skeleton servants. Celia says that Leo is very similar to the demon king in the story. However, Leo considers it just nonsense that isn't real. Upon arriving home, Black reports to Leo about Nepa. He is indeed the one who came from the previous year and the mastermind behind the resurrection of the Holy Virgin. So, upon meeting again, Leo decides to capture him and force him to reveal everything that happened. Leo also wants to know why Ollie could also come to this era, so he orders Sari to further investigate Ollie and his purpose for coming. However, before leaving, Sari calls Leo a foolish demon king because he gave a valuable dress to Celia instead of to her. At that moment, Celia had just finished bathing and came out with a look that made Leo dare not to look. Celia says that the previous battle drained a lot of her energy, so the young demon king had to surrender and let Celia suck his energy dry. That night, an alarm wakes everyone up. It turns out Ollie has escaped from the medical facility on Leo's island. Despite knowing this, Leo lets him escape because he must first complete 2 missions. First, find the rebellious goddess Rosalia, then restore the forces of the Demon King and conquer his kingdom. And so, the story ends.